Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, sorry. So my name is Ludovic Mariette. I'm a project manager at Orano Nuclear and Packages facility. And I have worked on the development of the 10 Eagle cask, for which I will present to you the progress of this project. You can hear, that's okay? Yeah? I can try to, yeah, okay. I will try higher. So first, what's the 10 Eagle? So the 10 Eagle cask is what we call a dual-purpose cask. It means it has been designed for transport and for dry storage, design and license. For the transport, the cask is equipped with shock-absorbing covers that helps for the cask to resist to severe accident condition, the hypothetical accident condition, as a 9-meter drop test, as a fire of 800 degrees for 30 minutes, and so on. For dry storage, the cask is put in a vertical position, is equipped with an anti-air crash cover, and particularly has to resist to a crash of an aircraft. Of course, after all these several hypothetical accident conditions, the cask must remain safe and fully leak tight. So some brief information about the design. So the cask is a metallic cask. The containment system is done with a monoblock shell, carbon steel monoblock shell. It is closed with two covers, two lids, two bolted lids that are equipped with metallic gaskets. Around this containment system, around this shell, we will put some shielding rings that will help the cask to have the good shielding, so we can adapt the shielding of the cask with these rings, the gamma shielding of the cask with the shielding, and inside these shielding rings, we have some resin blocks for the neutron shieldings. These shielding rings are shrink-fitted around the 10 Eagle cask. So what we have done on this design in order to try to have the most performant and the most competitive cask. So first, when we began to work on this project, the first point that we have in mind is that the difficulties that we have on other casks to manufacture are the welding. Welding are always difficulties, non-conformities, welding are time, are delays, and then we have decided to have no welding on this cask. And currently, and on this design, we have absolutely no welding, no welding on the body. That's the first point. The second point, we wanted to have the most simple component as possible. And then we have worked with our partners, with our subcontractors, in order to design components that are the most simple as possible to manufacture, in order to reduce as much as possible the non-conformity that we can have in productions. So that's the second point. And then with that, we managed to reduce and to divide it by 10 the number of components on this cask in regard with the previous ones that we had. Thanks to this design, we are able, and thanks to the design that we have achieved, we are able to procure the components all in parallel. So the shell, the shielding rings, the blocks, the basket inside the cavity, all the components that done the 10 Eagle cask, we are able to provide them in parallel. And then these components arrive in our new facility, which is the 10 Eagle factory, to be assembled. And at the third point, in fact, we assemble the components that we procure with our subcontractors in the 10 Eagle factory without any welding and without any machining. It helps us to have a very safe process, a very quick process with, I would say, I won't say with no conformities, no non-conformities, but as much as possible, the less of conformities as possible. And the last point that on which we have worked at the beginning was to say there is a large market, there are several operators, several nuclear facilities. All these nuclear facilities have several differences, and we wanted to have a cask that is the most as possible, that can be adapted as the most as possible to the operators and to the customers. And that we have done, and that's why we said it's a modular concept. In fact, with one safety analysis report, one transport license, we are able to produce several dimensions of cask, several casks with several shielding thickness. Thanks to that, we can really adapt the cask to the customers and to the needs of the customers. For example, if you the second point is that also, thanks to this modular cask, we can really adapt to the life of the reactor, of the nuclear power plant. For example, in the current life of the reactor, we can have a big diameter of the cavity in which we can put the most number of fuel as possible, but with cold fuel. And at the end of life of the reactors, when we have to load very hot fuel, we are able to have a small cavity with less fuel assemblies, but with very hot fuel assemblies. And all these things can be done with only one safety analysis report, so a new time we can choose the cask that we will manufacture. So the TN factory. So we are very proud of our new facility that was inaugurated 1 year ago. So as I mentioned just before, in fact, all the components that we are manufactured for this cask arrive in parallel in the facility. And then in a very short time, with an automatic process, fully automatic process, we are able to assemble this cask. This facility has been designed and constructed with our partner Latesys, which is familiar with aeronautic and spatial industry. So this facility is very similar than the ones that we can find in the aeronautic industry or in the spatial industry. So smooth process, automatic, and efficient. So some words about the schedule that allowed us to perform this project. So there were a lot of information in this schedule, but in fact, there is three main steps. The first one was the design and the licensing. So we start from scratch by beginning of 2018 on this project. So we decided to have this new design, and then in less than 3 years, we had the design and we had the first license, transport license in France. We have performed some drop tests to demonstrate that the cask is okay with the regulations. And then by the end of 2020, we had the first transport license of the TN Eagle, a new time for several dimensions, several thickness, and so on. In 2019, we said at the moment, wow, this cask is simple, in fact. Why we cannot do by ourselves? And it's why we have decided to launch the TN Eagle factory, the TN Eagle factory. So the beginning was in 2019, and we began with the first sketch of the TN Eagle factory in 2019. In 2020, we went to our executive committee of Orano in order to have the authorizations to launch the project of the TN Eagle factory. And we came back with two objectives. The first one was to be able to produce a first-of-a-kind cask with the new process, and particularly to demonstrate the feasibility on a first-of-a-kind of insertions of the rings around the monoblocks. So we have done that in 2021. And the second objective that gave to us the COMEX was to have a first contract. In 2021, we signed the first contract, and we have a second one in 2022. And then we launch the serial productions of the TN Eagle. In parallel, and that's the second step, we launch, of course, the construction of the facility. So when we come back on 2022 to our COMEX with the contract, with the demonstrations of the feasibility of realizations, then our COMEX gave us the green light to construct the TN Eagle factory. So it was in 2022, and we have inaugurated our facility by end of 2024. They're 1 year ago, in fact. From now, we have launched the serial productions of the project, of the TN Eagle cask. And by the end of 2025, we will be able to deliver 24 casks, 24 TN Eagle casks that have already been manufactured in our facility. So 1 year after the launching of the production. So as a conclusion, I'm sorry, but I was very quick. So as a conclusion, what we can say is that thanks to a very simple design, thanks to very simple components that can be provided in parallel with a large supply chain, thanks to an efficient facility that is able to deliver cask very quickly, we can address the market and deliver to our customer very well adapted cask. Since 1 year, we have already demonstrated our efficiency, in fact. We will deliver 24 casks by the end of this year. Our goal was 18. We have also a manufacturing lead time very efficient and higher than the one that we expected at the beginning. For example, we signed a contract with a customer by July 2024. We have delivered the first cask by May 2025, so 10 months after signing the contract. So thanks to that, the TN Eagle can really address the market and help our customer to have a very well-adapted design. Thank you very much for your attention. If you have some questions, I'm open for that.
So I noticed that the TN Eagle casks, you delivered 24, so 6 more than you expected. So do you have a new plan or new investment about maybe increase your capability to have more assembly?
So at this time, we are not in the fully productions. We are able to produce more, and more than expected also. So what we can say about the TN Eagle factory is that our production is now with 1 shift and 215 days a year. We can switch in 2 shifts or in 3 shifts, for example. So yeah, we can produce more than the 24 casks that we have already delivered this year, for sure. And we will. Next year, we hope to produce 30 casks per year.
Hello, thank you. You said that there is no weldings. How do you manage to, I don't know, assemble the fins or these kind of elements on the cask?
So, first point, the fins are not on all the casks. We can have fins or no fins a new time depending on the needs of the customer and the needs of thermal dissipations of the cask. So the fins are directly machined inside the rings. So it is not added on the cask. The shielding rings that you can see here are forged pieces that are fully machined with the fins already on the shielding rings. That's the first point. The second point is that these shielding rings are put around the cask with a shrink fitted process. It means we hit the rings and we put it inside around the cask, and then when the temperature decreases, it is fixed on the cask.
Okay.
It's thanks to this process that we have no welding on the cask.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, thank you. Can you precise, please, the handling means of this type of cask?
Good question. Yeah, good question. In fact, when we launched this design, we saw that all the casks have what we call trunnions. Trunnions are means in which that are inside that on the cask and that helps to handle the cask. This cask the topic of this cask was dry storage at the beginning. When a customer needs dry storage cask, he will manufacture maybe 100 casks or more or less, but a large number of casks. And then on this cask, we have 2, 4, maybe 8 trunnions for each cask that will be used once for the transport and once for the storage. And then we have decided to do something very different. We have designed some equipment that we can bring on the cask for the handling and for the tilting. It means one equipment for each facility that we will put on the cask and that will help for the handling. That's like this. And then we bring trunnion. In fact, we bring trunnion, but it's 1 trunnion for 100 casks and not 1 trunnion per cask.
Thank you for the answer, precise as always. Thank you.
Thank you.
Il les ramène sur la circonférence, là où il y a pas de...
Okay, thank you very much. If you have some other questions, you can come at the booth, or I'm ready to answer if needed. Thank you very much.